Crypto isn't a scam, but this is why people think it is. A human guide to navigating the noise, hype, and real promise of cryptocurrency. Let's have a real talk. You're curious about crypto. Maybe you've made some money. Maybe you've lost some. Or maybe you're just watching from the sidelines, utterly confused. Your feed is a barrage of conflicting headlines. Crypto billionaire arrested in massive fraud. Right next to BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF opens new era of finance. A friend tells you it's the future of money. Another calls it a Ponzi scheme for tech brothers. Who's right? The truth is, they both are, and they both aren't. That's the maddening, fascinating core of this whole phenomenon. Here's my thesis. Straight up, the fundamental technology of cryptocurrency and blockchain is not a scam. It is a genuine, profound innovation, but it has been and continues to be wrapped in layers of scams, reckless speculation, predatory behavior, and absurd hype so thick that for most people, distinguishing the signal from the noise is nearly impossible. The scam label isn't attached to the code. It's attached to the carnival that's been built around it. Think of it like the early internet. The core technology, TCP/IP, HTTP, was revolutionary. It was not a scam. But in the late 1990s, what did the public see? They saw the dot-com bubble. They saw Pets.com stocks and absurd valuations for companies with no path to profit. They saw rampant fraud, hype, and clueless investors getting wiped out. To an outsider in 1999, the internet looked like a speculative scam. It took the bubble bursting and years of quiet building for the real, transformative use cases Google, Amazon, social networks, streaming to emerge from wreckage. Crypto is in its chaotic, messy, and often ugly adolescence. We're somewhere between the Pets.com sock puppet and the birth of Google. The scammy stuff is highly visible. The genuinely valuable stuff is often quiet, technical, and hard to explain. This is a conversation. We're going to walk through why people think it's a scam, point by point, not to dismiss their concerns, but to validate and understand them. Then we'll peel back those layers to see what might be underneath. My goal isn't to convince you to buy Bitcoin. My goal is to give you a framework to think for yourself. The Carnival. Why people think it's a scam and can't be blamed for it. If you think crypto is a scam, you have a lot of evidence. Let's catalog it. This is the story the media rightly tells. 1. The get-rich-quick frenzy and speculative casino. This is a front door for most people. Crypto is presented not as a technology, but as a lottery ticket. What coin will 100x next? Don't miss the next Shiba Inu. This token will moon. The entire space on social media is dominated by price talk. It's a global 24/7 casino where volatility is extreme. People see stories of overnight millionaires and, more commonly, stories of people losing their life savings on a dip. When the primary use case for an asset appears to be hoping a greater fool will buy it from you at a higher price, the Ponzi accusation is inevitable. It feels intellectually vacant. It feels like a collective mania. and often it is. 2. The parade of outright frauds and villains. The headlines write themselves. FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried the golden boy, the responsible face of crypto on magazine covers, testifying to Congress, turned out to be running a massive old-fashioned fraud, stealing customer funds to prop up his hedge fund, buy luxury real estate and fund political campaigns. Billions vaporized. Terra/Luna, Duquan, algorithmic stablecoin, presented as financial genius. It collapsed in days, wiping out over $40 billion. The design was fundamentally flawed, but marketed as revolutionary. Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi yield platforms promising unsustainably high returns, essentially acting as unregulated, reckless banks. They blew up, freezing millions of accounts. OneCoin, BitConnect. Blatant Ponzi schemes with no real blockchain, just marketing and referrals. Hey became the meme siren call to scam. Exit scams and rug pulls. Developers create a token, hype it up, get people to invest, and then vanish with the liquidity. This happens weekly on decentralized exchanges. The pattern is clear. Charismatic founders, complex jargon obscuring simple fraud, and massive, rapid theft. If you see a parade of people in handcuffs leaving a building, you assume the building is crooked. 3. The utterly useless and often ridiculous tokens. Visit a decentralized exchange and scroll through the tokens and you'll find thousands of coins named after memes, dogs, politicians, and in-jokes. Doge with fat, Turbo Trump, Geo Bowden. They have no purpose, no team, no software. They exist purely for speculation and pump-and-dump schemes. To a rational observer, this is proof the entire space is a joke. It's hard to argue when a token with a Shiba Inu picture has a market cap in the millions. 4. The environmental argument proof of work. Bitcoin's energy consumption is significant. IT uses as much electricity as a medium-sized country. The narrative that we're burning a planet's worth of coal to run digital gambling tokens is a powerful moral indictment. It seems not just scammy, but irresponsible. This criticism is specific to Bitcoin and other proof-of-work chains. But Bitcoin is the flagship, so the stain colors everything. 5. The complexity and opacity. Not your keys, not your coins. Seed phrases. Gas fees. Smart contracts. Bridges. Layer 2s. The learning curve is vertical. This complexity creates a perfect environment for scams. Just send your ETH to this address to validate your wallet. And for mistakes, send the wrong address and it's gone forever. When people lose money, they don't understand how they lost. Scam is the natural conclusion. Traditional finance, for all its flaws, has customer service, fraud protection, and chargebacks. Crypto has code as law, which feels cold and predatory to the average person. 6. The hyperbolic, cult-like marketing. Crypto discourse is drowning in revolution speak. It's not investing. It's being early. It's not a token. It's digital gold or the future of money. Critics are no coiners who don't get it. This us versus them cult-like mentality is a classic trait of pyramid schemes and religious fervor. It shuts down critical thinking. When every dip is called a bear market and every scam is weeding out the weak hands, it sounds delusional. 7. The lack of real-world use for now. The killer question, what is it for? For over a decade, the promise has been banking the unbanked, decentralized finance, Web3 ownership. For the vast majority of people on Earth, these are not solved problems. They still use Venmo, banks, and Visa. The user experience of crypto for payments is worse. So if it's not a good currency and the apps are clunky and the main activity is trading, it looks like a solution in search of a problem propped up by speculation. This is a damning list. If this was all there was, I'd agree it's a scam. Full stop. But it's not all there is. The carnival is loud, but behind the garish tents, there are people building in workshops. You just have to ignore the barkers to hear the sound of construction. Navigating the gap, how to think about this mess. So we have two realities. The ugly, scam-filled carnival and the quiet, profound workshop. The gap between them is where we live. How do you navigate it? Here's my advice. 1. Separate the asset from the ecosystem. Judge each thing on its own merits. Bitcoin, a novel digital commodity with a fixed supply. Argument. A store of value hedge against monetary inflation. Risks. Regulatory, technological, competitive. Ethereum, a global, decentralized computing platform. Argument. The base layer for a new internet of value. Risks. Extreme complexity. Scaling challenges. Potential centralization and staking. A random meme coin. A casino chip with no purpose. Not an investment. A gamble. Lumping them all together as crypto is like lumping Amazon stock with a penny stock boiler room scam because they both trade on the stock market. 2. Understand the incentives. Follow the money. Always ask, how are they making money? A protocol that charges small fees for a useful service? Legitimate business model. A token whose sole utility is to go up so early holders can sell to later holders? Ponzi dynamics. An exchange offering 20% yield on your Bitcoin? They are almost certainly taking huge risks with your money to generate that yield. It's not sustainable. An influencer shilling a coin? They are almost certainly being paid or already holding a bag they need to dump. The most honest money in crypto is from building something useful people are willing to pay small fees to use. The most dishonest is from extracting money from new entrants. 3. Embrace skepticism, not cynicism. Cynicism says, it's all a scam, I'm out. It's easy and often right. Skepticism says, prove it. It engages, asks hard questions, and demands evidence. Skepticism looks at a new Web3 project and asks, is this easier, cheaper, or better than the Web2 version? Or are we just adding a token and a wallet for no reason? Skepticism here is decentralized and checks who controls the keys, the code upgrades, the treasury. Skepticism sees APY and looks for the source of the yield. Is it real revenue or token inflation? The space desperately needs more skeptics and fewer cynics and zealots. 4. Prioritize security over everything. If you engage, use a hardware wallet ledger Trezor. Not your keys, not your coins. Never share your seed phrase. Ever. With anyone. Be paranoid about links, emails, support agents. Phishing is the #1 threat. Start small. Treat it like learning a dangerous new skill, like welding. You don't start with your life savings. The onus is on you. This is a feature for some, a fatal bug for others. 5. Look for quiet utility, not loud hype. The real adoption is boring. Stablecoins. USDC, a digital dollar on a blockchain, moving trillions in real-world commerce and remittances. This is the #1 use case today. Cross-border payments for businesses. A company paying a supplier in another country in minutes for pennies, not days for hefty fees. Artist communities. Using NFTs to fund work and create direct, ongoing relationships with fans, cutting out extractive middlemen. On-chain reputation and identity. Projects building verifiable credentials, diplomas, work history that you own, not your university or LinkedIn. None of this makes headlines like a 1,000% pump. It's infrastructure being built. 6. Accept that it's an experiment. This might all fail. Smart contracts might be inherently too risky. Regulation might stifle it. The user experience might never get good enough. That's okay. You are not betting on a sure thing. You are observing and perhaps participating in a massive, open-source, global technological and social experiment. Allocate only what you can afford to lose, as if you were funding a risky startup. Conclusion, the tightrope. Crypto isn't a scam, but it is a mirror. It reflects our deepest human tendencies, our greed, our susceptibility to narratives, our desire for quick wealth, our tribal instincts. The carnival is us. It also reflects our aspirations for more transparent systems, for individual sovereignty over our assets and data, for open, global, and permissionless innovation. The workshop is us, too. The technology provides a rope. We're the ones walking it. Try not to fall into the abyss of fraud on one side, or the abyss of dismissive ignorance on the other. My advice? Don't listen to the carnival barkers. Don't become a cynic who mocks from the safety of the sidelines. Become a thoughtful, cautious, and curious explorer. Understand why people think it's a scam. Their reasons are valid and important. But also look past the headlines, the meme coins, and the vaporware. Look at the plumbing being built. Read the original white papers. Understand the trade-offs of self-custody. The future is not predetermined. It will be built by those who can see both the carnival and the workshop, and who have the patience and discernment to tell the difference. That's the tightrope. And learning to walk it carefully, step by step, is the real opportunity.